Hi everyone, this is Nathan from the ebookreader.com. For this review, I've got the Energy System eReader Pro. This is a rebranded Boyue T62, not sure on the pronunciation, but this device is available in a lot of different parts of the world under different names. This is the Energy System version. Let me go ahead and walk you through some of the hardware and software on this device. So as you can see, we got page buttons on each side of the screen here. This has got a 6-inch e-ink screen, the 758 by 1024 resolution, and it's also got a micro SD card slot down here on the bottom. We've got a headphone jack, and then of course the USB port for charging, and that's the power button right there. And then otherwise it's just nice and smooth on the back. It has a soft coating on it. It's a little the coating's a little bit softer than it is on some other devices. It's kind of a common feel, but I do like how this device feels in your hands. You can see the corners and edges are nice and rounded, and it does feel comfortable in your hand. Your thumb rests nicely over that page button right there, which does work with most reading apps, and including third-party apps if you enable a volume button page turn. So let's go ahead and talk about some of these other things here. We've got a front light right here. I'll try to give you guys a quick look at the front light brightness, but it's really bright in here, and my camera automatically adjusts anyway, so I'm not going to be able to show it very well. But we do have a good range of adjustment as far as the light is concerned. You can also use this button right here. This is a dedicated refresh button, so if you want to refresh the screen, you get nice clear text if it sort of gets ghosting after a time. And if you hold that button, you can toggle the front light on and off. Alright, so let's talk a little bit about the software now. This device, it runs Android 4.2.2. You can install Android apps from Google Play. As you can see, I got Google Play on here. It's a little bit confusing. When I first got the device, it didn't have the Play Store app on here, but then once you sign in with a Google account with one of the other apps like Gmail or Drive, then it automatically shows up after a little while. It's got to update or something, but yeah, I think they're going to be changing that so it's on there by default. But either way, we got Google Play on here to download apps from Google. As you can see, I got a few reading apps on here. Let's go ahead and talk about like the pre-installed stuff first, and then I'll move on to the third-party apps. So this is the main default home screen. Of course, you can install like an alternate launcher if you wanted a different home screen. So what it does is it shows you recently added, and it doesn't work that great because, as you can see right here, it adds all these titles that these are like from the Kobo app. The Kobo app does a weird thing where it like renders the pages in HTML or something. So then it gets all those added to the front here, and a lot of times like covers don't work. Sometimes the covers work, so it just sort of depends. This is just sort of the main layout, and one thing that's different from this and the Onyx devices, if you long press on like a book cover on Onyx devices, you'll get the option to open apps associated with that file, but you don't get that option on here. So when you touch a book cover from there, it'll open up one of your pre-installed apps. You can set it for either Adobe Reader or FB Reader in the settings here. So when we go ahead and open that up, right now I'm going to be using FB Reader, so let me go ahead and show you how that looks. So it's got a good amount of layout settings right here. You can kind of customize the margins and the line spacing and all that. You just tap on the center of the screen right here. We bring up our other options. So like right here, we've got the little page dial indicator. We can jump around the book right there, and there's a back button. And then over here is like the adjustment settings. So we got the different font sizes, and there's a bunch of different uses a system font folder. So we got a bunch of different font options in here. We've got line spacing. Like I said, I really like the bold option. Look how much different it is. If you just have the regular, it's a lot thinner. That bold option looks a lot better. So obviously you can reset the margins, like I said, and then we've got this little page progress setting down there. So it doesn't have a whole lot of like, it doesn't have like social network sharing or a dictionary. You can't look up words in the dictionary using this app. It has a couple of extra settings like this auto page thing right here where you can set 10 to 80 seconds where it'll automatically turn pages. And then you can also switch over to the various different modes, landscape modes, and of course, unlike the Kindle Voyage, the page buttons still work when you're in landscape mode, so that's definitely a plus. Okay, like I was saying, this particular app and the Adobe Reader app, they don't have a dictionary, so if you hold down on a word, you get the option to copy, add a note in the digest, which is essentially highlighting it, and then you can go over into the, right here, you hit that double line, and it'll open up the table of contents section, and you've also got your bookmarks and notes added over there. So that's how the FB Reader app works. For the most part, the Adobe Reader app has the same sort of settings. I'm not going to really get into it a lot here. This is just a PDF, so if I open up a PDF, it'll open up the Adobe Reader app instead, unless I set it as the default in settings. So you have the same sort of interface as you can see right here, regardless of what app you're using. You've got some different settings in here. For PDFs, like you do have the reflow. We've got a couple of different cropping settings, and obviously landscape mode. But you know, there's not a whole lot of features with these two pre-installed apps like I was saying. So you can install these third-party apps, of course. You can add them to this too. You can customize this menu right here. It has sort of like a generic file explorer, so I put the ES file explorer over there. So you can customize those icons on the home screen. So if you like wanted to access your e-reading app from the home screen, you could add one of those down there as well. So I think that the best app for this device is probably the Moon Plus Reader app. You can go ahead and install this from Google Play, of course. Then it doesn't look great out of the box. You need to go ahead and set up some stuff, but this app has a whole lot of features. You can customize things in a whole bunch of different ways. When you tap, it brings up the icons for the center. If you tap the center, it brings up the customizing icons. One thing with this app is you have to do it twice. But so you do have the notes and the highlights and usual with this app, the Moon Plus Reader, and you also have the dictionary. You can download a dictionary for this. So of course it's designed for a tablet, so I mean you get a little bit of flashing here and there, but it does load up the dictionary option right there if you did need that. And the Moon Plus Reader app, it does have some other options too, and you can set up these page buttons to work in this app. The page buttons pretty much work with every reading app, unlike Onyx's devices, where like, you know, it doesn't work a lot of times with like the Kindle app. So we can go ahead and load up the Kindle app on here and the page buttons work, but you have to go into settings first and set the page buttons to be recognized as volume buttons, and then go into the Kindle app from the settings page, main settings menu here from the home screen, and then enable page turns with the volume buttons, and then in fact it will actually turn pages that way. So out of the box it doesn't, so you have to actually configure those two settings, and then you can use these page buttons. And of course the Kindle app here I'm going to go ahead and show you. So one cool thing about the interface on this device, it's like you got the auto partial refresh, so anytime you're doing scrolling it will automatically go into the partial refresh mode, so that's nice and smooth and doesn't do that constant jumping around like e-ink is prone to doing. So I do like that, and it works with different apps and areas. So let's go ahead and I'll just show you quickly each of these apps, just sort of give you an idea how they work on this Android device. Obviously you can see right here, it takes the time for stuff to load sometimes. I mean, it's longer than it's going to be on a tablet. These type of apps obviously aren't optimized for e-ink, so there is more like drawbacks as far as that is concerned. And here's another drawback. So like I said, you can use the page buttons in this app, but it kind of gets fuzzy when it turns pages, so the text kind of does break down after a while. If you compare this to that other app I just showed you with boldness enabled, I mean it looks a lot darker, the text. The text obviously with the Kindle app, it doesn't have any kind of refresh mode, but the device has a dedicated refresh button right there you can use to refresh the text if it's starting to look a little bit rough. So it just all comes down to personal preference if you are gonna like reading it this way or not. I kind of like really bold fonts myself, so it's just sort of one of those things each person has their own preferences with. But I mean otherwise the app, it works fine. Let me go ahead and contrast it here with a couple of different apps. So like the Playbooks app, it has a little bit more of a refresh when you turn the pages, so the text, it doesn't get as washed out looking. It tends to stay darker when you're turning pages. Let me go ahead and back it out of the settings menu here. This app you had to enable the page turns and the volumes there in that settings menu as well, and then once you get that going you can use these page buttons. So the text just sort of tends to be a bit darker in this app than the Kindle app. As you can see, it doesn't do the slide animation. So here's just a quick look at Feedly. I just wanted to show you guys that this app does work. The page buttons and stuff don't work for scrolling, but I mean they I just see, as you see, it just pulls up the volume indicator. But I mean the app does work well. You can scroll through. It does that partial auto refresh when you scroll, so it gets smooth instead of the constant black refreshing. So it is nice to be able to have an e-reader where you can install all these different kinds of reading, so it's not just ebooks. So you can have an RSS reader in here, you can have your comic readers, you can have all your books. So there's a lot of different options, and you can also use email. So it's something you don't get on your everyday ebook reader. So okay, quick look at Comixology Comic on here. It loads pretty quick. Everything works pretty well with this app except for the page buttons, because there is no volume button support with this particular app. But you can go ahead and just tap on the screen to turn pages, and if you got the guided mode enabled, of course it'll just go from panel to panel. So once you set this app up, you can like get rid of the transitions. It actually, the animated transitions, it actually works pretty well, and the comics are nice and easy to read when it zooms in like that. Obviously full page mode, not so easy to read, but then if you got that guided view on, it'll go ahead and zoom in on the each individual pane, so it's a lot easier to read, obviously. And as you can see, it loads nice and fast. I'm always kind of surprised by how well this Comixology app works on e-ink e-readers, because it is pretty fast. as far as page turns go, and zooming isn't terribly smooth, but it's smooth enough. You can obviously, with the ink you get that constant refresh, but it isn't really bad. Of course, obviously this device has a 2-point capacitive touchscreen, so you can do the pinch zooming with apps that support it. Alright, let me go ahead and show you the web browser really quick. I'm not going to get too into this because web browsers on ink kind of annoy me, because as you can see it's just lots of flashing. But once you get a page loaded, it actually works pretty well. You can do the double tap to zoom in, and the scrolling, it goes ahead, and when you scroll, just like anything else, it does the auto partial refresh, so you're not getting that constant flashing. But it does kind of have a tendency to still do a lot of flashing with the web browser, just for various different things if you're trying to switch between windows and stuff. But it definitely is usable. Go ahead and load up my website here, and I'll just show you a couple of things really quick. It's just the standard regular Android web browser type of features. You long press on a link, you'll get the options to open a new tab. You double tap on an article right here, and it'll zoom it into that part of the screen. And like I said, you get the auto partial refresh for scrolling, so it does help minimize the constant black flashing that you usually get. So one thing about the web browser is it seems like it doesn't activate links very well. So let's go ahead and just try to activate one of these right here. Best ebook readers. So there we go, it worked first try. Sometimes you gotta hit it a few more times, or it tries to think you're scrolling when you're tapping on a link sometimes. But yeah, so it does work most of the time, but it is a little bit imprecise at times. So let's go ahead and open up a different tab here. So you do have the different tabs. You can access them right there. So you can just jump back and forth between tabs. It's the mobile version, obviously, of the app. So a couple of things in the user settings. You can set refresh times for the ebook apps right here. Like I said, you can set your EPUB eReader, but it only works with the default apps. And right there is where you need to open up, set open for the volume keys to get those to work with the side-loaded apps. So there's some different settings in here, and the customize your desktop apps. So there's some different options here. One thing though, shutdown doesn't work for some reason. I got it set for 30 minutes at your activity, but it never shuts down automatically. It always just stays in sleep mode. Battery life, it's not really that great, but doesn't seem too bad. I've tested other Android e-readers that seem to have worse battery life, but it's definitely not like a Kindle. You're not going to be getting over 6-8 weeks out of these things. You're definitely going to be, with the Android, you're using it more like a tablet. It's going to drain battery more like a tablet. But I mean, you could probably get about 2 weeks out of it if you're turning Wi-Fi off and just doing some reading and stuff. But yeah, you're not going to be able to get 2 months out of battery life. So that's just sort of one of those things you got to compromise with an Android device. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video right here. You can check out the ebookreader.com for some additional details. I got the written review posted for this tablet, or this e-reader. So I'm going to wrap this video up. Thank you guys for watching. You have a nice day.